Europe, setting up base in Paris. Moving behind the scenes as an investor, she cleared the path for Riven, using her connections and resources to help him break into the fashion world and establish himself in film. Over those 3 years, she has never once left his side, a quiet, constant guardian. Their bond is undeniable. Publicly, they are known as close friends. Whether it's gone further, the world can't agree. Friends. Sable lets out a cold laugh. She ends the call. A man and a woman, just friends, please. She can see exactly what Soleil wants. And you, Riven, how could you let someone like her get this close to you? A sharp hostility takes hold of her, a sense of threat she has never felt before. For the first time in her life, Sable feels something ugly toward the name Soleil. She needs to see Riven. She needs to look him in the eye and ask what Soleil really is to him. Fortunately, a week later, the chance arrives. Her assistant reports that Riven will be attending the after-party of a top haute couture show. Sable immediately pulls strings to get herself an invitation. The event is held on the grounds of a historic private estate. The moment Sable steps inside, her eyes find Riven. He is deep in conversation with several internationally acclaimed directors and producers, switching effortlessly between French and English. Sable holds her glass and watches him through the crowd. She waits. She waits until she sees Riven's energy begin to fade, until he slips away alone toward a terrace overlooking the garden. Now, she follows without drawing attention. On the terrace, the night air is cool. Riven leans against the railing, gazing out at the distant lake. Sable approaches from behind, takes a deep breath, forces the storm inside her down, and still, the words that come out carry an edge. What is going on between you and Soleil? Riven isn't surprised she's there. He doesn't even bother to turn around. Well, if it isn't Emma Shen, it's been a while. Whatever I do or don't do with someone, I don't believe I owe you a report. That title, MS Shen, and the coldness behind it make Sable feel like she's suffocating. She steps closer and grabs his hand. You've been gone for 3 years, and you've completely lost your judgment. You know exactly what kind of person Soleil is. She's played the field more than I ever have. What could she possibly give you? At that, Riven finally turns around. He looks down at her with calm, quiet authority. Miss Shen? You're not exactly in a position to talk. You say Soleil plays the field? Funny, I used to be one of the most notorious playboys in the Jingbei social circuit. We're well matched. Besides, Soleil has never once hidden how she feels about me. She respects every choice I make, every boundary I have. Unlike some people, who were never truly mine to begin with, yet wasted 3 full years of someone else's life under the pretense of giving it a try. Sable, who do you think is worse? The words land like a hard slap across the face. Sable's face goes pale. She opens her mouth, but there is nothing to say. Just then a voice cuts in. I was wondering where you disappeared to, and here you are, cornered by someone who has nothing to do with us. Soleil strides over, loops her arm through Riven's as naturally as breathing. Miss Shen, long time no see. What's this, having a little chat with my boyfriend? The mood looks a bit tense. The word boyfriend hits Sable like a punch to the head. Her pupils contract. She snaps her gaze to Riven, staring, silently begging him to deny it. Even just a frown would do, but Riven simply tilts his head toward Soleil, letting her words stand, without even a glance in Sable's direction. Soleil drinks in every flicker of Sable's reaction, and smiles. I hear you and Riven have a little history, but that's ancient history now. Riven has me, he's doing just fine, so please, don't trouble yourself. She pauses, letting her gaze drift pointedly toward the empty space behind Sable. Speaking of which, where is Crest tonight? Didn't bring him along? So what exactly are you here for, Miss Shen? A little something on the side? Poor Crest. Before Sable can get a word in, Soleil turns away and pulls Riven with her. Sable stands there, watching them leave side by side, her hand curling into a fist at her side, tasting for the very first time what it means to have your heart ripped open. After the party, Sable comes home radiating a dangerous kind of silence. Crest senses it immediately and becomes even more careful, hovering, offering gentle words, trying to smooth things over. That evening, he brings her a cup of warm milk and steps into her room. Sable, you've been wearing yourself thin lately. Do you want me to rub your head? Remember when we first met? There was that one time I climbed up to rescue a cat stuck in a tree and nearly fell off the ladder. After you helped me, we got together. I used to do this for you back then too. You always said it felt good. He is trying to pull her back with the memory of how they began, but the more Sable listens, the deeper her frown gets. For some reason she can't quite explain, a memory surfaces. Something from a long time ago. An old servant at the Fang household, muttering under their breath that Crest, even as a child, never liked animals. That he'd once secretly killed the neighbor's cat. And then she remembers something Riven once said about Crest, sharp and mocking. Something she'd always brushed off, dismissed as Riven trying to cause trouble. But right now, something clicks. She quietly reaches up and moves Crest's hand away. It's fine. I'd rather be alone. Crest has no move to make. He doesn't dare push it. He just quietly lets himself out. A few days later, Sable's highly capable assistant is sorting through a batch of old files shipped over from back home when they stumble onto something. A copy of an investigation report that had been deliberately buried for years. It concerns the fatal car accident that killed Riven's mother. The report indicates the crash was not simply an accident. There are signs it was deliberately orchestrated. And the one who stood to gain the most? Harlan, who rose to power and took control of Fang Group immediately after. Almost simultaneously, an informant Sable had planted inside Fang Group sends an urgent urgent message. Fang Group is already a hollow shell. In recent years, Harlan has been siphoning enormous sums of money, routing them through a web of complex offshore transactions to hide the assets. And Crest and Vera, mother and son, didn't just know, they were in it up to their necks. Fang Group is buried in debt, teetering on the edge of collapse. But what hits Sable like the ground dropping out from under her is what comes next. A secret recording. It captures Crest on the phone with someone he calls a friend. Back then, I threw myself off that ladder on purpose. Faked the whole cat rescue. I needed Sable to notice me. Women like her fall for that kind of thing every time. The garden incident. I staged that too. I knew Sable was about to come outside, so I timed it and walked right into her path. And the light rig at the club. I paid someone to loosen it. I wanted it to hit harder, but it only grazed me. Still got the job done. And Riven, who does he think he is? Thinking he could compete with me. Sable's heart has always belonged to me. One small trick and she believed everything. Even had Riven locked up for days. It is only now in this moment that Sable finally sees the truth. The one she thought was the love of her life was a lie from the very beginning. And every wound she ever inflicted on Riven was built on that lie. She was a complete and utter fool. Played like a puppet by this mother and son every step of the way. Sable's legs give out. She crumbles to the floor, white as a sheet. She immediately has someone summon Crest to her room. When she throws the evidence in front of him, he tries to deny it at first, but faced with the irrefutable proof and the full weight of Sable's fury, his defenses shatter. He collapses to the floor and confesses everything. Sable, I did it because I love you too much. I was jealous of Riven. I just wanted you to care about me more. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please, give me one more chance. Sable stares down at the twisted, desperate thing Crest has become. She feels no mercy, just disgust. And at the same time, Riven's face surfaces in her mind, unbidden. Even at his lowest, even in his worst pain, Riven never begged, never crawled. In this moment, everything becomes clear. The one who made her heart move was never Crest, this fake constructed illusion of a first love. It was always the real one, vivid and alive and true, Riven, who gave her everything he had even after she had torn him apart. Whatever she told herself she felt for Crest, that was just self-deception. Now that the truth is out, Sable moves with ruthless efficiency. She orders Harlan to immediately return every asset he stole, then uses her connections to hand the evidence of Crest and Vera's crimes over to the authorities. She ends things with Crest, completely, permanently, severing every tie, without a moment's hesitation. But when it's done, what she feels is not relief, it is emptiness. Riven, I'm in so much pain. Where are you? I need to see you. I want your forgiveness, even if there's only the smallest chance you'd give it. For the first time in her life, Sable sets aside every shred of pride and dignity. She goes to the villa her assistant tracked down and waits outside. At 7 in the evening, she stands there holding an elegant paper bag. Inside, a signature cake from a classic bakery that Riven used to love, flown in especially. She remembers how much Riven loves sweets, especially when he's in a bad mood. How just one bite of something sweet would ease the tension out of him. But she waits in that car the entire night, until her eyes are bloodshot, until she looks hollow and worn, until the sky begins to pale. And finally, a familiar sports car pulls up and stops at the villa gate. Riven steps out from the driver's side, walks around to the passenger side, and opens the door for Soleil. Soleil reaches up and ruffles his hair, says something that makes Riven laugh, warm and unguarded. The sight of it cuts straight through Sable. She shoves open her car door and strides toward them. Riven, can we talk? Riven turns at the sound of her voice. When he sees who it is, his brow immediately creases. Miss Shen, why are you here? There's nothing to talk about. Sable takes a desperate step forward, fumbling for her phone, scrambling to pull up the evidence. Riven, please listen to me. I've looked into everything Crest and his family did. I was wrong about you. The garden, the light rig at the club, your mother's accident, none of it was an accident. It was them. I was blind. I was stupid. I let them fool me. But before she can finish, Riven raises a hand. So? Sable goes still. The truth is out. And then what? Did you think I'd come running to you in tears and say now that you finally know, let's be together? Sable, your apology, your regret, none of it means anything to me. The damage is already done. The humiliation of being discarded by you like garbage, the pain of having my wrist broken in that detention center, these things don't disappear because you say you're sorry or because you show me evidence. As he speaks, Riven's gaze drops to the paper bag in her hands. He lets out a short, humorless laugh. Still remember my favorite bakery. Quite the effort, Miss Shen. Had it flown in from halfway across the world. He lifts his eyes and looks directly into her face as the color drains from it. But I don't eat sweets anymore. Too rich, too cloying, and with that, Riven turns and follows Soleil through the gate. The heavy wooden door swings shut, and Sable is cut off. She stands there silent, motionless. The bag in her hands feels impossibly heavy. Inside the villa, Riven leans his back against the cold door and slides slowly to the floor. He can't pretend it doesn't hurt. There's still a dull ache pressing against his chest. But mostly, what he feels is relief and exhaustion. Letting go isn't as hard as he thought it would be. Soleil sits down beside him on the floor and gently pulls him into her arms. Riven, I'm right here. You still have me. This is all behind you now. Yeah, it's all behind me. Outside, the rain comes down harder. Sable stands in it, hollow and lost, staring up at the window that will never open for her again. Her eyes are empty. She knows what she has lost is gone forever. When she finally goes home, Sable shuts herself in her room for days, refusing to see anyone, refusing to deal with any business, just staring at the sky. Riven's words keep ringing in her ears. None of it means anything to me. The way he looked at her, like she was a stranger. She can't shake it. She cannot accept it. She cannot accept that Riven has simply cut her out of his life, or that there is another woman standing beside him. But instead of waking her up, that first failed attempt to win him back only stirs something deeper, something in her bones, a need to control, to possess. I, Sable, have never failed to get what I want. Riven, I see it clearly now. You have to come back to me. An almost unhinged thought takes root. She needs to manufacture a situation, one where Riven has no choice but to face her, where he needs her. She picks up the phone and calls her chief assistant. Use every resource we have. Find out what Riven's most important upcoming business deal is, and whatever it takes, I'm getting in. Her assistant is fast. The report comes back quickly. Riven's team is in final negotiations with a century-old luxury house over a global brand ambassador contract. They are at the critical last stage. Sable's eyes light up. She immediately reaches out in the name of Shen Group to the brand's headquarters with a partnership proposal. A deal that costs her more than it gains, with one condition: delay signing Riven as global ambassador. The weight of Shen Group's influence is not in question, especially in the Asian market. Faced with an offer this significant, the brand's leadership wavers, just as expected. The overseas video signing conference scheduled for the next day is postponed, pending further evaluation. When the news reaches Riven's team, the atmosphere instantly goes cold. His manager's face tightens with worry, turning to look at Riven. Riven is standing at the mirror running lines for an upcoming film scene. He hears the news and his expression goes flat. Of course, this is exactly Sable's style. She wants to force him to bow his head. Soleil is sprawled lazily across the sofa, scrolling through her phone, but the moment she hears this, she puts it down and comes to stand beside Riven. Relax, I'm here. Sable's reach only goes so far. When the overseas video conference is rescheduled, the large screen in the brand's boardroom comes to life one window at a time. Riven, then Soleil's team, then Sable. The meeting begins. The brand CEO chooses his words carefully, referencing the more strategically compelling partnership Shen Group has proposed. The hesitation behind his words is clear. Sable takes her cue. Shen Group has tremendous faith in your brand's future. We believe this partnership will be a win for both sides. As for the ambassador selection, I believe it warrants more careful consideration to ensure the individual's image truly aligns with the brand's core values at the deepest level. She never names Riven directly, but the implication is unmistakable, that Riven might not be up to the role. The atmosphere in the meeting drops to freezing, and then Soleil's unhurried voice slides in. Miss Shen, it's been a while, tell me. Not enough to keep you busy back home, so you've come all the way over here to weigh in on who gets cast in the European fashion world? She turns her gaze directly to the CEO, voice shifting, firm and clear. Charlie, Riven's image, professionalism, and market influence speak for themselves. The Shang Family Foundation has long been one of your most significant art sponsors. I personally have deep admiration for what your brand stands for. I believe choosing Riven as your global ambassador is the only right decision. As for certain outside interference, she pauses, eyes cutting across the screen to where Sable sits. Business has its rules. Don't bring things that don't belong at the table to the table. Riven is where he is today because of his own talent and hard work, not because anyone handed him anything, and he certainly doesn't need to accept deals that come with strings attached. Soleil's words land like a sharp slap, rattling both Sable and the room. The Shang family's roots and reach in Europe are in a different league from Shen Group entirely. Next, it is Riven's turn to speak. He speaks with calm and complete command, laying out his understanding of the brand's 100-year history, its artistry and craft, the soul at the center of everything it stands for, and drawing from his own journey and vision to propose a genuinely compelling approach to the ambassadorship. He is precise, confident, every bit the A-list star he has become. The executives exchange glances of clear admiration. Whatever hesitation they had is gone. The CEO makes the call on the spot. Perfect, he's the one. The global ambassador contract is signed. Sable's screen goes dark first. She sits alone in her cold, empty office, listening to the dial tone, knuckles white. That night she screams at her assistant, who stands motionless and barely breathing. Why? Why won't he give me even one chance to make it right? Whatever Riven wants, wealth, connections, status, I can give him all of it. 10 times over, 100 times. So what does he actually want? The assistant watches her spiral towards something frightening, hesitates for a long moment, and finally speaks in a careful, quiet voice. Miss Shen, perhaps what Riven wants has never been any of those things. The words stop Sable cold. If not these things, then what? For the first time, she genuinely sits with a question she has never asked herself before. Unconditional trust, unwavering choice, or simply love? She turns it over and over and finds no answer. And then, just as she is lost in thought, a breaking news alert sends ice through her veins. Breaking news. Continuous heavy rainfall in the southern French Alps has triggered severe flash flooding and mudslides. Multiple villages have lost all communication. Roads are destroyed. The situation is critical. Then her assistant's urgent message arrives. Riven is in that area. The moment she reads that last line, Sable's heart stops. Riven had been invited to participate in a charity shoot for the International Children's Fund, near the town that has been hit the hardest. All communication to the entire region has been cut off. Whether he is alive or not, unknown. At the time, Sable is chairing a critical board meeting that will shape Shen Group's strategy for the next decade. The moment her assistant delivers the news, she is on her feet, no explanation, no pause. Every board member stares in stunned silence as she drops the documents in her hands and walks out. Get a plane ready now. Fastest route to Nice? No. Go straight to the nearest airport that's still operational. Contact every rescue organization in the area. Hire the best teams available. Money is no issue. I'm going myself. Corporate strategy, business empires, none of it matters now. There is only one thought in her head. Find Riven. Hours later, Sable arrives with a highly experienced, well-funded professional mountain rescue team, forcing a landing at the closest small airport still able to receive aircraft. The weather is brutal, thick black clouds blanketing the sky, wind and rain lashing everything. Without stopping for a second, Sable boards the waiting helicopter and heads directly toward the area where all contact has been lost. But the helicopter cannot land. It can only hover above a relatively stable patch of ground. Against the crew's protests, Sable is the first one down the rope, rappelling down into the mud below. The rescue team leader surveys the destroyed road ahead, flooded, collapsed, littered with fallen trees, and grabs her arm. Miss Shen, the conditions ahead are too dangerous. The mudslides are still active. You cannot go in. Less talking. Lead the way. Sable's eyes are red. She is already at the front, pushing forward. The floodwater rises past her calves, bone-chilling cold. Rocks keep breaking loose from the hillside, the wind strong enough to knock a person off their feet. During one scramble to dodge a small collapse, a boulder comes rolling hard toward the pack behind her, the one carrying critical rescue equipment. Without thinking, Sable throws herself at the pack to knock it clear. The rock catches her left arm instead, its edge opening a deep gash, right down to the bone. Miss Shen, a team member, lunges toward her to bandage the wound, but Sable waves them off. No time. She tears a strip of cloth, wraps it roughly around the gash, and pushes forward, jaw clenched. After more than 10 hours of relentless, brutal searching, they finally find Riven inside a classroom on slightly elevated ground, completely surrounded by floodwater. Riven is there with several teachers, comforting dozens of terrified children. His hair is a mess, his face pale, his clothes soaked and filthy, but he is calm. He is even telling the children a quiet story, trying to chase the fear from their eyes. When Sable staggers into the doorway, caked in mud, stained with blood, everyone freezes, including Riven. He looks up, and the moment he sees her, his face goes completely still with disbelief. Their eyes meet. For a few seconds, time stops. Sable sees Riven standing there, alive, unharmed, and something she has been holding tightly for days finally releases. She doesn't feel the searing pain in her arm. She doesn't care about the state she's in. She crosses the room in a few long strides as everyone watches, wide-eyed, and pulls Riven into her arms and holds him tight. Riven, you're okay. Riven stands still in her grip, feeling her heartbeat hammering against him, her whole body trembling. He reaches up and pats her on the back, then pushes her away, firmly but not unkindly. Thank you for coming out here, Miss Shen. I won't forget this. I owe you. Sable's arms fall empty. The warmth on her face vanishes as she watches Riven's calm, unchanged expression. She doesn't move, just stands there. Then, the sound of another helicopter landing comes from outside. Soleil has arrived with a second rescue team and supplies. She rushes into the classroom, her eyes finding Riven immediately. The moment she sees him unharmed, the relief on her face is visible. Then her gaze shifts to Sable. When she sees the wound on Sable's arm, something flickers behind her eyes, sharp and alert. In the makeshift shelter set up nearby, medics work to clean and close Sable's wound. It's deep, it needs stitches, but Sable barely seems to register the pain. Her eyes follow Riven as he moves around the room, tending to things. She leans toward her assistant and asks quietly, "When he saw my injury, did he seem even a little concerned?" The assistant looks at Sable's pale, stubborn profile and quietly looks away. The answer is written in the silence. The rescue operation has landed like a stone dropped into still water, sending ripples through everyone who witnessed it. Soleil saw it with her own eyes, how Sable threw herself into danger without a second thought for Riven's sake. It shakes her in a way nothing else has. She realizes Sable's feelings for Riven run deeper than she ever imagined, and she can't afford to wait. So the night before the relief work stabilizes and Riven's team prepares to return home, Soleil doesn't arrange anything grand. No fanfare, no stage, just a quiet moment near the temporary shelter, on a small hillside where the stars are visible. Just the two of them. The night air is cool. Soleil looks over at Riven beside her, his head tilted back toward the sky. She takes a breath, steps in front of him, blocking his view. "Riven, there's something I've been wanting to tell you for a long time. I think it's time. I know you probably always thought I was annoying as a kid, always getting in your way, always picking fights. The truth is I had no idea how else to get your attention. You were too bright, like a little sun, always surrounded by people. That clumsy, combative version of me was the only way I knew to make sure you'd at least remember I existed. Then we grew up, and I spent my days drowning myself in bars. Because seeing you with Sable hurt in ways I didn't know how to carry, and I had no idea what to do with it. I numbed myself the only way I could, and I wanted you to see me, to know that even when I hurt, someone wanted me. When you left for abroad, I followed almost immediately. Not for any other reason, just because I like you. I've liked you since we were little." Riven is silent for a long time after she finishes. These past 3 years, everything Soleil has done for him, every small thing, he remembers all of it. She sat with him through the loneliness of being a stranger in a foreign country, quietly held him up when his career stumbled, stayed by his side through the night when he was sick, and never once pushed him or pressured him. Now Soleil suddenly crouches down and takes his hand. "Riven, I know there are still wounds inside you, that you haven't fully let go. I'm not in a hurry. I can wait. I just want to ask you one thing. Will you give me the chance to be with you the right way, as your girlfriend?" Riven looks at Soleil. This woman who grew up beside him, who laughed and fought and drove him crazy, and never left when it mattered most. He is quiet for a long time. Soleil's heart nearly sinks all the way. Then Riven nods, gently, a small smile crossing his face. You confess your feelings to me, I'm always going to say yes. Soleil lights up instantly. She throws her arms around him and holds on tight. Their relationship isn't announced publicly, but among those close to them, it is no secret. When the news eventually reaches Sable, however, it is the last straw. She is at the hospital at the time, having her arm treated. The wound had become infected from the rain and the search, triggering a fever severe enough that she had to be admitted. When her assistant gently delivers the news, Sable goes still for a moment, then bolts upright in bed, ripping the foredrip from her hand, then sweeping the entire medical cart off the stand with one shove. That's impossible! How could he? How dare he? What gives Soleil the right? Sable ignores the doctors, ignores her assistant, and checks herself out by force. She drives straight to Riven's villa, forgetting entirely that her arm is still wrapped in bandages, forgetting she still has a fever. There is only one thought. Go to Riven and demand an answer. The night is deep and dark. She stumbles up to the closed iron gate of the villa and pounds her hands against the cold metal bars, voice going raw as she shouts his name. Riven, come out. Tell me this isn't real. You can't do this to me. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Give me one more chance. Riven. Security arrives quickly. Several large guards move to restrain her. She fights back, never stopping, still screaming his name. Eventually, she's dragged away from the gate, shoved into a car. Up on the second floor of the villa, a curtain shifts slightly. Riven stands behind it, watching the spectacle below, watching the woman who once held herself above everyone being hauled away like she's lost her mind. His face is blank. Then he pulls the curtain shut. The next day, Riven sits in the sunlit warmth by the floor-to-ceiling window, flipping through a newly arrived screenplay, while Soleil sits cross-legged on the carpet with her laptop, working through emails, occasionally glancing over at him. The comfortable quiet is suddenly broken by a notification on the tablet. A breaking news alert. The chairman of Fang Group, Harlan, has been formally arrested on suspicion of massive embezzlement and tax evasion. Fang Group's stock collapses instantly. The company announces bankruptcy and liquidation. An in-depth expose on the fall of Fang Group suggests a mysterious financial power may have been behind the precision takedown. The bold headlines fill the screen. Riven scrolls through them, finger pausing for just a moment. His gaze lands on the news photo. Harlan, surrounded by reporters, the arrogance on his face replaced by panic and shame. Riven's expression doesn't change. He looks like a man watching a story that has nothing to do with him. Soleil puts her laptop aside, comes to him, and settles into his arms. No words, just the quiet reminder that he is not alone. Over the days that follow, the news around the Fang family continues to unravel. Vera attempts to flee the country with what's left of the laundered money, but police are already waiting at the airport and arrest her on the spot. And Crest, losing his father's protection, his family's fortune, and watching his mother get hauled away, completely falls apart. He tries to reach Sable, clinging to the fantasy that she might still care enough to help him, but Sable's assistant stops him cold at the lobby of Shen Group's headquarters. He never even gets to see her face. Not long after, a gossip outlet reports that Crest has been admitted to a psychiatric facility on the outskirts of the city. Riven closes the news feed, rises, and walks to the window, looking out at the distance. Soleil rests her head against his shoulder. It's all over now, Riven. Yes, it's all over. The bitterness, every last piece of it, dissolves with the fall of the Fang family, and the end that came for Crest. This is the moment Riven finally walks away from everything that came before. The annual International Film Awards ceremony captures the world's attention. Stars fill the red carpet. Riven walks it with Soleil on his arm. Back in Jingbei, at the top floor of Shen Group, Sable sits alone in the dark in front of the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, the only light in the room coming from the television, which is streaming the awards ceremony live. When the camera cuts to a close-up of Riven and Soleil, her pupils contract. The results are announced. Riven has won Best Actor for a film that peels back the complexity of human nature with brutal honesty. When his name is called, the entire auditorium rises. In the spotlight, Riven walks to the stage and receives the award. He gives a brief acceptance speech, thanking the director and the crew. Then his gaze finds Soleil in the crowd below. And last, there is one person I need to thank. My love, Soleil. Thank you for standing beside me and giving me strength through everything. This award is half yours. The camera finds Soleil. She is already on her feet, and she blows a kiss to him from across the room. Sable shuts the television off. Hard. In the dark, she breathes in uneven gasps. No, I cannot just sit here and watch this. I have to do something. The after party is held at the official awards hotel. It is well past midnight before Riven and Soleil finally leave, surrounded by assistants and security, heading for the underground parking garage. But as they reach the car, a figure stumbles out from behind a column, blocking their path. It is Sable. Her eyes lock onto Riven. Just talk to me. 5 minutes. No. 3 minutes, just give me one more chance. The last one. I'm begging you. Without you, I have nothing to live for. Soleil steps forward immediately. Sable, look at yourself right now. Snap out of it. Riven is with me. He is happy. Please, stop interfering in his life. Happy? What right do you have to give him happiness? What do you even know about him? Do you know he gets cold easily in winter? That he steals the blanket in his sleep? Do you know he can't handle spice but eats it anyway, and always needs ice water after? Do you know Riven's voice cuts through. Sable, leave the past where it is. What was between us ended a long time ago. It didn't end. How could it just end? Sable reaches for Riven's arm. Soleil steps between them. In the middle of it all, no one notices that at the entrance to the parking garage, a black car, its driver apparently drunk or the vehicle suddenly losing control, surges forward in an erratic, uncontrolled line, straight toward them. Watch out! Soleil reacts first, but someone else is faster. Before anyone can fully process what is happening, Sable throws every ounce of her strength into shoving Riven, who is standing closest to the edge, out of the car's path. The force of it sends her spinning directly into the vehicle's trajectory, a heavy, dull impact. Sable's body goes flying, like a kite with a broken string. The trauma room lights stay on all night. Riven and Soleil keep vigil on the bench outside in the corridor. When the sky begins to lighten, the door finally opens. The doctor steps out, exhausted, and tells them Sable's injuries are critical, multiple fractures, internal bleeding. After everything the team could do, she is out of immediate danger and has been moved to the ICU. But she is not in the clear yet. Close monitoring is required. Riven exhales, but the weight in his chest does not lift. They wait outside the ICU for another full day and night before Sable's vitals finally stabilize enough for her to be moved to a regular room. Soleil goes in with Riven to see her. Sable lies on the white hospital bed, tubes running from her body, face pale, visibly thinner than before. But the moment she sees Riven walk in, her eyes light up. She forces out a sound. Riven. Soleil gives Riven's shoulder a quiet pat, signals that she'll wait outside, and gently pulls the door shut. Riven walks to the bedside and sits down. The doctor says you're out of danger for now. Sable looks at him, drinking him in, and slowly lifts the hand without the IV drip, reaching for him. But when she sees the distance in his eyes, her arm falls. I'm sorry, Riven. And then the words begin to come, slow and broken. From the beginning, how Crest had deceived her, to the moment she understood her own feelings, but let pride and stubbornness stop her from ever admitting it, and the pain of losing him, the regret that never leaves. She apologizes over and over, confesses her love over and over, stripping herself of every last piece of dignity. Riven, I know I deserve everything that's happened to me, but I'm begging you, just one more chance. Let me spend the rest of my life making it right. Without you, being alive feels like nothing. Riven listens in silence, letting her finish, until her voice fades with exhaustion. Then he speaks. Sable, thank you for saving my life. I will carry that with me. A flicker of hope appears in Sable's eyes, but Riven's next words extinguish it completely. But love is not gratitude, and it is not guilt. What we had ended long ago. The day you used your connections to have me thrown into that detention center for Crest's sake, letting me suffer in there, every time you chose to believe him and hurt me without hesitation, it was already over. Sable, this is where we end. He stands. He doesn't look back. He walks to the door. Outside, Soleil is waiting. Riven goes to her, takes her hand without a word, and walks away from the room without looking back. Sable lies in that hospital bed, staring at the empty doorway, at the back of the man who is already gone. Tears fall without her realizing it. Time passes. Another year turns, and Riven's career reaches a new peak. He takes on an epic film directed by one of the world's most acclaimed directors, playing a man who holds on to his convictions in the middle of war. His performance is extraordinary, gut-wrenching in the best way. At the ceremony widely regarded as the highest honor in cinema, when his name is read aloud for Best Actor, the whole room erupts. Riven rises calmly, pulls a tearful, beaming Soleil into a tight embrace, then walks toward that stage the world is watching. Under the spotlight, he holds the award that represents everything and delivers his speech. Thank you to the cast and crew, thank you to my family, and everyone who has believed in me. And last, his gaze finds a woman in the crowd below. I want to dedicate this to my fiancée Soleil. You are the reason I know love can be this beautiful. You gave me the courage to become a better version of myself. Soleil, the rest of my life is yours. The camera finds Soleil. She is already on her feet, hands forming the words I love you across the distance. Not long after, a quiet, intimate wedding takes place at a private estate, just their closest family and friends. Sunlight, a green lawn, flowers, white fabric. Riven wears a suit made for him by a designer who is also a dear friend, clean, elegant, and walks with Soleil on his arm down a path scattered with petals. Their wedding invitation also finds its way to a few people from the past. In Jingbei, at the top floor of Shen Group headquarters, Sable stands before that massive floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the city still thrumming with life below. She is thinner than she was a year ago. On her desk sits an elegant wedding invitation. On the day of the wedding, she doesn't go. She only goes to the office where she and Riven spent so many hours tangled up in each other's lives. Her phone screen suddenly lights up. A message from a number she doesn't recognize. No text, just a photo. Riven in his suit, standing in brilliant sunlight, smiling at the camera with a happiness that is utterly complete. A few seconds later, another message arrives. Just one line. Sable, I forgive you, and I'm letting myself go too. Take care. Sable stares at the photo and the words. Something hits her in the chest like a fist. Her hand trembles as she traces Riven's face on the screen. That smile. And then the tears come, unstoppable, falling hard and heavy onto the glass. She laughs and cries at the same time, like someone coming undone. And in the end, she presses the phone tight against her chest, against the heat still burning there,